Amen, amen. We are indeed thankful to God for this day. We're thankful to all those who participate in our worship. It's so good to see Brother Keith coming up here reading the scripture. We're just thankful for his wonderful example, faithfulness and diligence, and we're thankful for all of our brethren who participate in our worship service. And we're thankful for you being here today. If today is your first day here visiting with the Easthaven Church of Christ, we want you to know you're special. Yeah. You are honored and welcome guests, and we appreciate you coming and visiting here with us at Easthaven on this first day of the week. One of the things that's most imperative, most essential, and of necessity in the life of the child of God is faith. You have to have faith. Hebrews 11 and verse number 1, the Hebrew writer says, "Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Right. But without faith, it is impossible to please him being God. For he that cometh to him must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him." Right. You have to have faith. Among all of the things that are mentioned in the book of Hebrews as it relates to faith, another thing that's closely akin to faith is confidence. The child of God, if he has faith and he has trust and conviction of God, he can approach God with confidence. Look at Hebrews chapter 4, verses 14 through 16. Notice in Hebrews chapter 4, verses 14 through 16, the Hebrew writer talks about another aspect of the Christian life. He says, "Seeing then that we have a great high priest, Jesus, the Son of God, let us hold fast our profession. For we have not a high priest which cannot be touched with the feeling of our infirmities, but was in all points tempted like as we are, yet without sin. And because of that," he says, "let us come boldly unto the throne of grace, that we may obtain mercy and find grace to help in the time of need." For us as Christians, if we have faith in God, if we trust in God, if we believe in God, if we believe in the fact that God works in our lives exceeding abundantly above all we can ask or think, we can approach God with boldness. The word boldly there means with confidence. Not with arrogance, but with confidence. We ought to be able to approach God because God is able to do exceeding abundantly above all we can ask or think. Better yet, we ought to be able to approach God based on what God has done. As a matter of fact, to give you an idea of this, our text is Judges chapter 7. But I want you to go back to Hebrews chapter 11 and notice who's mentioned that Hebrews chapter 11 and verse number 32. Hebrews 11 verse number 32, then we'll get to our text. The Hebrew writer says, "And what more shall I say then? For the time would fail me to tell thee of Gideon."
Yes.
Who's in our text?
Yes.
Gideon. He says, I don't have enough time to talk about all of the patriarchs and faithful women in the Old Testament. He says, I don't have enough time. He's already talked about Abel. He's already talked about Noah. He's talked about Moses. He's talked about Moses' parents. He's talked about David. He says, I'm running out of time. And then he mentions Gideon. Gideon, all of those judges in the book of Judges. He says, I don't have enough time to tell you. But let's talk about it for a little while. Judges chapter 7. As we look at it, Judges chapter 7, where we're looking at this morning, as we look at our text, God can do a lot with a little. That is, God can do a lot with a little. And I believe that as we read Judges chapter 7, you will be easily convinced of this fact. The fact of the matter is, the God of heaven, the God in whom image we are made, the God in whom we serve and whom we worship in spirit and in truth, God can do a lot with a little. Let's go to, first of all, the text. First of all, we're going to look at Gideon's plans, God's plans, and then God's test. First of all, verse number 1, I want you to notice Gideon's plans. Then Jerubbaal, who is Gideon, same person, and all the people that were with him rose up early and pitched beside the well of Harod, so that the host of the Midianites were on the north side of them by the hill of Morah in the valley. Now, this goes back to chapter 6. Judges 7 is a continuation of Judges 6. Mind you, when you read the book of Judges, what do you see in pretty much the whole entire book? You see a vicious cycle.
that God's people would sin. He would put them in captivity. They would cry, beg, and plead for deliverance, and God would send them a judge. As a matter of fact, that is the book of Judges in a nutshell. So here they are in this cycle under the oppression of the Midianites. So once again, after the oppression, they cry to God for help. So what God does, God sends them a man by the name of Gideon. God sends Gideon, and Gideon is in Judges chapter 7, also known as Jerubbaal. But notice what he does. Gideon gets up. He's ready to fight. He's ready to help deliver God's people.
Yeah.
So what Gideon does, Gideon gets everybody with him. They rise up. They go and pitch beside the well of Harod, that's on the north side, and the host of the Midianites were on the north side of them by the hill of Moreh in the valley. Can't you see Gideon? Eager, ambitious, ready, desirous to fight, desirous to help deliver God's people. The only problem is, Gideon, like us many times, we make plans, and we have plans, but sometimes they're not God's plans.
Amen.
Notice the emphasis is in the text, and we'll see it's on the people who are with Gideon. So many times you need to figure out who you're with. Who you keeping company with. Who's in your association. And so here's Gideon with all of the people that's with him, that's beside him, who's behind him. Can't you imagine these people, they're ready to go to war. They're ready to fight. So Gideon got in his mind that everybody that's with him, we can beat the Midianites. We can fight. We can be victorious. You know what? Me and all these people with me, we can beat the Midianites. But I want you to notice God's plan in verses 2 through 3. The Lord said unto Gideon, the people that are with you, Gideon, you know, all those people that rose up with you and pitched beside the well, it's too many. Not only is it too many, Gideon, I know as soon as y'all are victorious, the first thing y'all gonna say, because history has proven it, y'all gonna say y'all did it. God says, the people that are with thee are too many for me to give the Midianites into their hands, lest Israel vaunt themselves against me, saying, mine own hand has saved me. So many times don't we do that? We get a nice job, able to get us a nice home, some decent vehicles. You know, we always patch your vehicles up. First thing we turn around and say, you know what? My education. I did this. You know how much money I was able to save? We always put ourselves in position to make ourselves be the culprit or the reason why we are successful. God said that's too many. Notice verse number 3. Now therefore go to, proclaim in the ears of the people, saying, whosoever is fearful and afraid, let him return and depart early from Mount Gilead. I want you to notice this. This is amazing. And there returned of the people 20 and 2,000, and there remained 10,000. That's why you need to be mindful of who you associate with. Not everybody that hangs with you, that associate with you, has the same ability as you. Can you imagine all these people with Gideon, and then God says 22,000 are afraid? If you're afraid, what you out here in the battlefield for? You out here to fight, but you're afraid. Notice what happens. God says, it's too many. And there remain 10,000. Notice what God says again. We talk about God's plans.
Yes.
And the Lord said unto Gideon, the people are still too many. Can't you see Gideon in his mind trying to rationalize? First of all, God, you said 32,000 is too many. 22,000 who were fearful and afraid, they went home. 10,000, and that's still too many, God. Bring them down unto the wall, and I will try them for thee there. And it shall be that whom I say unto thee, this shall go with thee. The same shall go with thee. And whomsoever I say unto thee, this shall not go with thee, the same shall not go. God said, what I'm going to do for you, Gideon. As my mother used to say sometimes, as my father used to say sometimes, I'll show you better than I can tell you. That your 10,000 is too many. The same that I say shall go with you, they shall go. The same that shall stay behind, let them stay behind. So what God does in verses 5 through 7, God puts forth a test. Now mind you, he's already weeded out 22,000.
Yeah.
Now he got 10,000. God said, let me weed them out. Notice what he says. So he brought down the people unto the water. 10,000 people now. 10,000 people down here at this brook, at this river. And the Lord said unto Gideon, everyone that lappeth of the water with his tongue as a dog lappeth. Him shalt thou set by himself. Likewise, everyone that bows down upon his knees to drink. God says, this is the test, Gideon. So you'll know who I want to go with you to fight and into battle. He says, you need to understand. Everyone that lappeth like a dog lappeth. You know, this is really the only time where it's good for a man to be in the same conversation as a dog. Because, you know, most of the time, you know, all men are dogs. Yeah. And so, but in this conversation, God compares man who's going to go into fight, into battle with Gideon, God compares him to a dog that lapped. To give you an idea, look at 1 Kings 22:38. Notice now, it's a reason. God didn't just say those that lapped. He likened those who would go into battle to those who lapped like a dog. 1 Kings 22:38. What does it say, Brother Hammond? Notice now. 1 Kings 22:38.
And one watched the chariot in the pool of Samaria.
Now this is after the death of Jezebel. Y'all remember Jezebel? Y'all know Jezebel, Ahab's wife, that wicked lady, that cruel lady, that lady that nobody else named their daughter after. People always say, ain't nothing in the name. But you ain't never seen nobody in all good honesty name their daughter Jezebel. There's something in the name. So this is after the death of Jezebel. What happens?
And the dog licked up his blood.
The dog did what? Licked up her blood. That's the same word lapped in Judges chapter 7. There's something interesting about a dog licking and lapping. You ever notice, especially like pit bulls, Rottweilers, some of these vicious dogs, they drink and they eat with their eyes on you. One man told me one of the most rude and vicious times to mess with animals is when they're eating or drinking. See, God says, Gideon, don't just get anybody. You need to get some people who can watch and work at the same time. God is telling Gideon, you need some men who can multitask. Who lap like a dog. He says, you don't need them guys that just go down there, they so thirsty and ready to drink. They gonna just get down on all their knees and start drinking. They can't pay attention. They can't watch for the enemy. They can't watch your back, Gideon, not with their knees and their head bowed. So God says, Gideon, you need to make sure you understand that these men who lap it like a dog lap it. And the number of them that lap, putting their hands in their mouth, verse number 6, were 300 men, but all the rest of the people bowed down upon their knees to drink water. And the Lord said unto Gideon, by the 300 men that lapped will I save you and deliver the Midianites into thine hand, and let all the people go every man into his place. God says, Gideon, I'm going to save you and all of Israel by 300 men. Now, to put this in perspective, I want you to notice this. He started out with 32,000.
Yes.
How do I know it? Because 22,000 went home. And 10,000 remained.
Right.
That's 32,000. All right, y'all can do math. That's 32,000, right?
Right.
Check me on my math. But he ends up with 300. That's not even the best part. He starts out with 32,000. 22,000 go back home. 10,000 are taken down to the river again to be tested to see who laughed like a dog. But I want you to notice this. God reduced Gideon's army by 94%.
Yes, sir. All right.
By 94%. To put this in even more perspective, what you do, you take your annual salary. If you make $41,000 a year, you go and try to figure out how you can live off $398 for an entire year. That is a reduction of 97%. Can you make it off $398 for a whole year? That's almost $1 a day. And if you got to pay taxes, God bless you.
Lord have mercy.
What God did was God reduced his army by 94%. Better yet, go and siphon 94% of the gas, 97% of the gas out of your vehicle. and try to make it to work all week.
Right.
Can you do that? But here it is, God reduces Gideon's army by 97%, or 94% rather, and yet and still, they are still victorious. Yet and still, that's not the best part. When you go to verse number 17, after his army has been reduced by 94%, I want you to notice, God allowed Gideon and 300 men to be victorious, and they didn't even have to fight. Notice verse number 17. And he said unto them, look on me and do likewise, and behold, when I come to the outside of the camp, it shall be that as I do, so shall ye do. Notice, now they're going to fight. When I blow with the trumpet, and I and all that are with me, then blow ye the trumpets also on every side of the camp, and say the sword of the Lord and of Gideon. So Gideon and 100 men that were with him, he divided the camps into hundreds. He had 100. There was 100 over here. There was 100 over here. So they were in troops or groups of hundreds. So they came with him unto the outside of the camp in the beginning of the middle watch, and they had but newly set the watch, and they blew the trumpets and brake the pitchers that were in their hands. And the 3 companies blew their trumpets. Notice now, this is their battle strategy.
Yeah.
They're blowing trumpets and breaking pitchers. They break the pitchers and held the left in their left hands and the trumpets in their right hands to blow withal. And they cried the sword of the Lord and of Gideon, and they stood every man in his place. They didn't even have to fight. Round about the camp, and all the host ran and cried and fled.
Yeah.
And the 300 blew the trumpets, and the Lord set every man's sword against his fellow, even throughout all the hosts, and the host fled to Beersheba and Zeredath, and to the border of Abel Mahola unto Tabath. 300 men put to flight an entire group of Midianites. And here it is in verse number 1, verse number 2. Gideon starts off with 32,000.
Yeah.
22,000 go home. 10,000, God pushed the chest. 9,700 of them, they go back home. And yet and still, Gideon ends up with 300. And yet and still, at the end of the day, God's people are victorious. Gideon and his 300. So when we look at the fact that God can do a lot, it don't take a whole lot of God for God to work with. No. God can do a lot with a little. And here's the thing that we need to consider. When you think about God's ability to do a lot with a little, God got a track record. All you got to do is go back and check his track record. God has a history of doing a lot. Why? Because he's able. I want you to notice a couple things. First of all, the reason why God can do a lot with a little, because he's the possessor of heaven and earth. Genesis 14, look at verse number 19. Notice now. Notice what Melchizedek says to Abraham when he come back from the valley of the battle. Genesis 14, 19, what does he say?
And he blessed him. And said, blessed be Aaron of the Most High God.
Now this is Melchizedek speaking. He says, blessed be Abram of the Most High God, the possessor
of heaven and
earth. That's Melchizedek. Look at verse 22. This is Abraham now.
And Abram said to the king of Sodom, I have lifted up my hand unto the Lord.
You know what I like about Abraham? And one thing we got to learn from Abraham in this incident, Abraham had some principle that he lived by. Abraham told the king of Sodom, I have lifted up my hand to the Lord, the Most High God, the possessor of heaven and earth, that I'm not going to take anything from you. See, his thing, brother, you can't take everything from everybody. You can't. Sometimes people say, well, you know what, let me help you out. Let me do this for you. You better find out who you're getting it from. Amen. Abraham said, you know what, you ain't going to bless me. You know why? Because as soon as I take what you give me, you're going to turn right around and say, you know what, I was the one who made Abraham rich. So Abraham said, you know what, I done lifted up my hand to the Lord, the Most High, the possessor of heaven and earth. Here's the point. The reason why God is able to do a lot with a little, because he possesses heaven and earth. So that simply means anything that's in heaven and anything on earth, God got it. It's within his power. So God is the possessor of heaven and earth. There's nothing that God cannot do. As a matter of fact, the next verse, Genesis 18:14, a lesson that Abraham and Sarah had to learn the hard way.
Right.
God says to Abraham, Is there anything
too hard
for the Lord? There's nothing that God cannot do. That's what God wanted Abraham to understand. That's how I know he can do a lot with little, because ain't nothing too hard for him. There's nothing that you can face in your life right now that's too difficult for God.
No.
But sometimes people speak and talk like God can't do some things. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm just saying. I wish, I hope, maybe, possibly.
Don't do it, brother.
There's nothing too hard for the Lord. As a matter of fact, James says, a man who doubts God is a double-minded man, James 1:8. We need to be convinced that there's nothing too hard for God. What you endure and experiencing in your life right now, is it too hard for God? Better ask yourself this question right here. Has God not done it before? Amen. You got some sickness in your family? Other families have been sick. You're experiencing death of loved ones. Other people have lost loved ones. There is nothing too hard for God. And when we wrap our minds around that, then we can understand unequivocally that God can do a lot with a little. Not only that, God saved Israel in one day.
Yes.
That may not sound a lot, sound like a lot, but I want you to notice Exodus chapter 14. Exodus chapter 14. Notice now, verse number 29.
Said, but the children of Israel walked upon dry land
First thing you need
in
to
the midst of
understand.
the sea.
They walked on dry land. They didn't take a boat. Didn't take an airplane. Didn't take any type of device. They walked through the Red Sea on dry ground. The first thing God does before he delivered them, he dries up the Red Sea.
Yes, he did.
They walking through the Red Sea on dry ground. They not treading water. They not wading through water. They are walking through the Red Sea on dry ground. What else does it say?
And the water was a wall unto them on their right hand and on the left.
God made the Red Sea a wall on the right side and a wall on the left side. They walking through the middle. What else does it say?
Thus the Lord saved Israel that day
God saved Israel that day.
out of the hand of the
We're
Egyptians.
talking about over 1 million people being saved at one time. One day. Walking through the Red Sea. What else does it say?
Out of the hand of the Egyptians.
Out of the hand of the Egyptians.
And
God dries up the Red Sea. He makes the waters a wall on the right and on the left. They walk through the Red Sea, and God delivers them from the Egyptians. Not only that, we don't have time to read it, but do understand this. The same water that they walked through. It's the same water that God turned on the Egyptians.
Right.
God is able to do a lot. Not only that, for 40 years, God sustained Israel in the wilderness. Look at Deuteronomy chapter 8. For 40 years. Better yet, look at Deuteronomy chapter 1 first of all. Do you understand? They were supposed to be in the wilderness for 40 years. Deuteronomy chapter 1, verses 1 through 3. Notice now, because that's a great lesson for all of us. Deuteronomy chapter 1, 1 through 3.
These be the words which Moses spoke unto all Israel on this side of Jordan.
On this side of Jordan.
In the wilderness. In the plain over against the Red Sea. Between Opar and Toby and Laban and Hazar Dahah. These are 11 days journey.
That is 11 days journey.
From Horeb by the way of Mount
From Horeb by the way of Mount Sinai to what?
To Lachish. And it came to pass.
11 days journey turned into a 40-year lifestyle. It was going to take less than 2 weeks to get from Horeb to the promised land. But notice now, Deuteronomy chapter 8, an 11 days journey turns into a 40-year lifestyle in the wilderness. But you know what God does? Even for 40 years, Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse number 1.
All the commandments which I command thee this day shall you observe to do.
God says you got to observe all these commandments this day to do.
That you may live.
That you may live.
And multiply. And go in and possess the land which the Lord swore unto your fathers.
So you can go in and possess the land. Read on.
And thou shalt remember all the way which the Lord thy God led thee.
Now you got to remember now. Go back and look at history. Go back and remember what God has done, how he has led you, how he has blessed you, how how he's protected you, how he sustained you. What does it say?
These 40 years.
40 years. Yes. We go from an 11-day journey to a 40-year lifestyle in the wilderness. What God does, he shows us something about mercy. The reason why they spend 40 years in the wilderness is because of unbelief. Numbers chapter 13 and 14. When the 10 spies come back with an unfaithful report, and then everybody else becomes unbelieving. So even in their unbelief and their disobedience, God still provides for them. You know what he do for us sometimes? Amen. Many times when we mess up and we fall short and we just consistently live contrary to the will of God, we still eat. We still be able to draw a paycheck. We still get our retirement. Things still work out for us, even sometimes when we live in opposition to the will of God. Here they are in disbelief, unbelief, and God still provides for them. What else does it say?
In the wilderness to humble thee and to prove thee, to know what was in thy heart, whether thou wouldest keep his commandment or no.
You know why God kept them in the wilderness? To see if they're going to continue to be unbelieving. And to see if they're going to continue to be backbiting and complaining and murmuring. Verse number 3 says what?
And he humbled thee and suffered thee to hunger and fed thee with manna, which thou knowest not.
God says,
neither.
Moses and God for 40 years in the wilderness fed thee with manna. If you can think for just a moment, how much food it takes to feed about 2 million people every day for 40 years. So you know what that tells me? God can do a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Because here's God feeding an unbelieving, disobedient generation of people for 40 years in the wilderness every day without complaint. No, what else it says?
Neither thy father knoweth, that he might make thee know that man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the Lord does man live.
What else did God do?
Thy raiment wax
for 40
not
years.
old. Thy raiment
For 40 years.
wax not old.
Their clothes were in style. For 40 years. Their clothes were in vogue. For 40 years, 4 decades, they were able to wear the same thing. Nobody said, well, you know what, this is out of style. Let me get rid of this. Let me throw this away. Let me get this new wardrobe. For 40 years. He's sustainable. What else does it say?
Neither did thy foot swell
For 40 years.
For 40 years.
Do you know what type of orthopedic surgery God has to be? For nobody foot to swell in 40 years. And here it is, you can go outside right now and cut the grass for an hour, hour and a half, and go back, your leg be swollen up. Nobody foot swell for 40 years. We're talking about a God who protects, who provides, and preserves. That's the God of heaven. God says, I did this for 40 years. So you will know that an 11 days journey, you could have been in the promised land, enjoyed all of those wonderful benefits. But because of your disobedience and your unfaithfulness, being hard-headed, tempting me, provoking me, trying to overthrow Moses, God said, and I still took care of you. That's God. Now, that's the God that Gideon and his men knew about when they went into battle. Not only that, here's another thing to consider. Look at the track record. God can do a lot with a little. All you got to do is check his track record. Over and over again, God does a lot with a little. As a matter of fact, God can do a lot with nothing. When you go back and look at creation, this stuff didn't exist. God created the world from nothing. Through faith, we believe that the worlds were framed by the word of God, so that things which are seen were not made of things which do appear. God created the world from nothing. Man can't do that. We're using so much technology, so many advances in science, trying to make it like we are God. But guess what? Everything that man makes today, he got to use material already in existence.
That's it.
If God can do a lot with a little, and God can do a lot with nothing, what can he do in your life? Not only that, Jesus shows us. I mean, matter of fact, what about Abraham and Sarah? God took two older people who are up in age, who are barren in terms of productivity, in terms of procreation, and God blessed the entire world. As a matter of fact, go back to Genesis chapter 12. Genesis chapter 12, then we'll look at Galatians chapter 3. God can do a lot. Genesis 12. Now the Lord has said unto Abram, get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred unto what?
And from thy father's house unto a land I will show thee.
God says, I want to take you somewhere, Abram. But you got to get away from your family, your country, your kindred, everything that you know. Verse number 2 says what?
And I will make of thee a great nation.
God says, I'm going to make of you a great nation. And now stop right there. Back to Genesis 11 and verse number 30. About 3 or 4 verses. It said very subtly.
But Sarah was barren.
But Sarah
was
barren.
Had no child.
Why do you think that's in Scripture? And then God tells Abraham, I'm going to make of you a great nation. God, how you going to do that? My wife is old, I'm old, and we don't have any children. How you going to make of us a great nation? Check his track record. By the time you get to Galatians chapter 3, Paul says, for ye are all the children of God by faith in Christ Jesus. For as many of you have been baptized in Christ and put on Christ. He says, there's neither Jew nor Greek, there's neither a bond nor free, there's neither male nor female, for ye are all one in Christ Jesus. And then he said, if you be Christ's seed, then are ye Abraham's seed and heirs according to the promise. Do you not know today that we are Abraham's descendants?
Oh, yes.
But yet and still, when we first meet Abraham, he's old, his wife is old, she's barren, they don't have any children, but yet and still, we blessed with faith with Abraham. God can do a lot with a little. What about Jesus? Jesus took 5 loaves and 2 fish and fed a multitude of people. Look at Matthew chapter 14. Matthew chapter 14. Matthew chapter 14, verse number 15.
And when it was evening, the disciples came to him, saying, this is a desert place, and the time is now past.
The disciples understood this place right here provides no sustenance. This is a desert place. And it was evening time. This is the time when people usually eat. They understood that. So now they begin to look at Jesus and figure out what we're going to do. We're in a deserted place. It's time to eat. We don't have anything out here. We don't.
The desert place, and the time is now spent. Send the multitude away, that they may go into the village and buy themselves village.
They're telling Jesus, you need to let them go. They've been following you for a long time. But you need to let them go back home so they can eat, so they can buy something to eat. You know, these people got to be hungry by now, Jesus. The apostles are concerned about the followers, the disciples. Now they're concerned, but Jesus not.
No.
Read on.